Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas. My name means victory for the people, and that's what I've always wanted for my people is victory in Jesus Christ. I was born 1,700 years ago, and I was born to a rich family, but my parents died when I was very young, so I was left as an orphan, raised by the church. So I learned good doctrine very early in my life. I always knew that Jesus is truly God and truly human, and I taught that all of my life. When I grew up, I wanted to help widows and orphans. So at night, I would sneak into the orphans' houses and I would put gold coins in their shoes at night. If the doors and windows were locked, well, then I would throw the gold coins down the chimney. There was one family who was very poor. The father was so poor that his 3 daughters could not get married, because back then the grooms expected the fathers to pay the grooms on their wedding day. And so this father was so poor that he couldn't pay the dowries for his daughters. But if they couldn't get married, they'd be sold into slavery. So one night I crept into their house and I left 3 bags of gold in their stockings that were hung by the chimney to dry. Well, when I grew up, because of my good doctrine and my generosity, I was made a pastor in Myra, Turkey. Myra is a coastal city, and Turkey is a country far, far away. You can look it up on a map. I enjoyed being a pastor, and in fact, I was made an overseer over other pastors in the area. But I'm sad to say that at this time, it was illegal to be a Christian. There were 2 evil emperors named Diocletian and Galerius, and they wanted to make Christians deny their faith in Jesus. They put me in jail, and they beat me with rods, and they burned me with irons until my arms were as red as my robes. But I always confessed my faith in Jesus Christ, and I preached the gospel to everyone who was in the prison. Well, one day there was a new emperor named Constantine, and he was a Christian, so he set me free. When I left the prison, the people lined up to cheer me, and when they saw my arms that were red from wounds and from scars, they cried out, "Nicholas, Confessor, Confessor Nicholas." Well, I was so glad to be able to go back to my church and be a pastor. But soon there was another problem in the church. Down in Alexandria, Egypt, there was a preacher named Arius who was teaching lies about Jesus. He said that Jesus was a created being and he was not truly God. Well, that made me so angry, I put him on my naughty list. Well, other pastors gathered together in Nicaea to talk about what it means to be Jesus, to learn what it is to be true doctrine about Jesus Christ. Well, when I heard Arius teaching his lies about Jesus, well, I got so mad that I slapped him. Well, I should not have done that. And I told everybody there that I was sorry, but I wasn't sorry that he was on my naughty list. And the other pastors agreed, and so they kicked him out of the church. So then it was time to go back to my home. But on the way, there was a great storm, and the ship tossed and turned, but I prayed to God, and he calmed the sea. Well, back in Myra, there was another problem. You know, it just seems like when you're a pastor of a church, there's just one problem after another. Well, this time there was a drought in my country and famine across the land, and my people were hungry. Well, then there was a ship that landed, and it was full of wheat. And I asked them if they would leave some wheat for us to eat, but They said no, they had to take all of that wheat to Rome. Well, I promised them that if they would leave some wheat for us to eat, then when they got to Rome, God would bless them. And so, it was true. Even though they left us enough wheat to feed my people for 2 weeks, still when they arrived in Rome, God multiplied the wheat and they had a complete shipment. Well, but because of these miracles that God did, people began to call me a saint. But I'm no more a saint than any Christian. God calls all Christians to be saints, set apart for His holiness and His service. So, for example, around here we have Saint Chuck and Saint Rhonda. We have Saint Norris and Saint Kim. We even have Saint Rex and Saint Margie and Saint John Robert and Saint Becca. And everyone who is a Christian is a saint. So are you. If you believe in Jesus, you're set apart as a saint. But everywhere people remember me as Saint Nicholas. And I'm known all around the world. In Holland, they call me a Sinterklaas. And every December 6th, the children put their shoes out at night. And in the morning, they find them with toys and candies and gifts. In America, children still hang their stockings by the chimney with care in memory of the 3 daughters whom I helped years ago. In America, I'm known as Santa Claus. So at Christmas time, when you think of Santa Claus, remember good old St. Nicholas, a confessor who endured suffering for the sake of Jesus Christ, a bishop who took a stand for correct Christian doctrine, and a pastor who cared about his flock. Ho, 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 homoousios.